on its face, it sounds like a very good motto, right? Like, humanity as a whole, no race, no creed, just humanity as a whole first. It almost sounds like a progressive motto. Like, you remember those coexist bumper stickers everyone used to have? It almost sounds like that. But when you see the context that phrase is used in, usually in reference to properties such as Warhammer or Avatar or Helldivers, about the idea that humanity, first, humanity is superior to all other xeno-life, alien life in the universe. And you realize pretty quickly, humanity first is a play on America first, which is a white nationalist phrase and dog whistle that has been popularized by the KKK. And you realize very quickly that this is about dog whistling or LARPing, the dehumanization and, superiority LARP of a racial dynamic, but you're coding it in human versus alien language to be cheeky. That's how a lot of people engage with it. Unfortunately, there are also a lot of people who do just love to LARP the Warhammer style. It is a sin. It is heresy for aliens to even exist. Their lives are heresy. They must be killed. That sort of Warhammer alien slaughtering LARP is fun to play along with, especially when you're, a Helldivers fan, for instance, like myself. But at the same time, there are people who genuinely really get offended when someone talks about something like Avatar or the Starship Troopers movie or anything like that, and you actually engage with the media in an honest way and acknowledge that there is an element of villainy to humanity that is mirrored in the alien enemy in the movies or the shows or the books or the games or whatever it is that we're talking about here. A lot of these people get really, really upset when you try to claim that humanity is not right to wipe out any kind of violently resistant alien species in media. And so I think that might be what we're about to be diving into here. I know that was a bit of a long wind-up, but I wanted to give you guys some background here so you know what we're talking about. Because I have a video here called Sorry Blue Cat People, but I've always been on humanity's side in Avatar. Humanity first. I don't know if this guy's like a chud who's dog whistling the America First stuff in the title, or if this really is just going to be some, I guess, philosophical engagement with the idea of, say, Jake Sully and Avatar betraying humanity for the Na'vi. I'm curious to see what this is going to end up being, because I've never heard anyone honestly engage with the point that in media like this, humanity is the villain, but that doesn't mean that they're bad, right? Like it means that both sides have a point when you see it from their perspective. That's the whole point of movies like this.
James Cameron's Avatar, we're shown an entire alien world called Pandora, inhabited by intelligent beings known as the Na'vi.
All right, he's Eastern European. We're off to a bad start. He might be a Nazi.
And throughout the movies, humanity is portrayed as the bad guy. Humans destroy their homes, exploit their world, and came to Pandora for one thing: resources. Meanwhile, the Na'vi are shown as kind, peaceful, and deeply connected to nature.
Sorry, I love Eastern European people, but I don't know why, but whenever there's someone talking politics online and they got an accent that sounds vaguely like Nordic, like just a little bit like Swedish, Polish kinda, like that kind of accent, it's like, am I about to hear some real Nazi shit? Am I about to hear something crazy?
They live in harmony with their world, and the movies clearly paint them as the heroes, while humanity takes the role of the villains. And of course, seeing all of this, the destruction, the violence, everything humanity does in the film, it's natural that any normal person would start to feel empathy for these beings. That's just how we are as humans.
I mean, that's not really the point, though. Like, the military aesthetic of the humans, I honestly don't even see that as what denotes the badness of the humans, right? Like, because when you look at the Na'vi and the humans in Avatar, they're both like, they have warriors, right? They have soldiers, they deify, or they glorify the idea of having like a protector or a warrior being like capable in battle and stuff. Like, there's a lot of aspects of their cultures that are equivalent to each other. What really sets, what makes the humans the bad guys is that they're invaders. Not in a, we're here to hang out and do research and not fuck up the environment kind of way, because there are humans that are like that. The Na'vi get along, in later movies, quite fine with plenty of humans that are not there to fuck with the planet. If you're just there to set up a research station and live there and do science, the Na'vi will help you with that. They're down to help. There are plenty of humans in that situation that they're cool with, or a fair amount of them are cool with. But the human military, the Earth military, is actively there to wipe out villages, enslave and capture entire Na'vi tribes. They are there to wipe out entire species of their wildlife because they can provide resources that Earth government wants, such as the ambrosia from the whales and the unobtainium from the Earth. You know, they are there to rip that planet to shreds and take everything of value from it, like any galactic space empire would want to do. And that's also the case in Helldivers. Any pretext of these are violent natives that need to be handled is just being used as an excuse to justify resource extraction from a planet that doesn't belong to humanity. So unless you just believe that humanity might makes right, it has a right to take whatever it can, if that's your position, I guess you're consistent. But if you're also the kind of person who's like, illegals are invading America, illegals are invading our country through immigration, then clearly you should perhaps be a little more sympathetic to the Na'vi if that's how you see the world.
But what if I told you you've been completely lied to this whole time? Because in reality, things would look very different. And today, I'm going to explain why I've always been on humanity's side in Avatar, no matter how.
Okay, in no universe is Attack on Titan a humanity-first scenario. What? Brother, what? And how is Erwin a humanity-first... What? Are you... well, I guess Erwin believed that it was about saving humanity, but even he was aware that there was more to it than it being like humanity versus the Titans. That's not what Attack on Titan's about. Did he stop watching after the basement reveal? Dude, watch the basement reveal! It's gonna blow your mind! What's going on for real in Attack on Titan? Also, who is this? A ghost from Call of Duty, if I'm not mistaken? I don't know. I don't know what he's doing in this thumbnail at all. Was this AI generated? This might be an AI-generated thumbnail, actually.
I'm going to explain why I've always been on humanity's side in Avatar, no matter how hard the movies try to make the Na'vi seem human and sympathetic. Imagine this, you're a human, and somehow you're one of the extremely lucky few chosen for an expedition to Pandora. Years ago, humanity discovered this planet, a world that could literally be the answer to everything. Earth is dying, overpopulation, resource shortages, constant conflict, everything is collapsing.
Yeah, it sounds pretty bad, huh? Sounds pretty bad what humanity's done to Earth, right? Wouldn't it be awful if instead of trying to create an arc of sorts to bring humanity to a new planet where it would live peacefully and learn from the mistakes of its past, if it came to an alien planet and tried to repeat all the same mistakes and ruin another planet? Imagine if a guy then made a video claiming that the humans who did all that and are trying to do it again on another planet are the good guys, actually.
Humanity is basically fighting for survival, and then there's...
Because, you know, that's just what happens, you know? That just happens, right? Like, humanity didn't do anything in this setting to make that happen. It just happens, you know? The future is just inclined to become a dystopia. You know, even when we've got technology that lets us cross the galaxy, you know, it's just, there's no way we could save Earth. We have to destroy other planets. Like you could already see how this logic doesn't work, right?
Pandora, a planet that is not just habitable, but perfect. A world that looks almost like Earth, almost like home, but better. Now imagine your situation. You have a family back...
It's not even close to better. It's toxic. Its atmosphere is toxic.
On Earth, friends, everything you've ever known, everything you care about, and you're part of the mission that might save all of it. You arrive on Pandora, you see the forests.
I will say, the fact that the air on the planet itself is like, this is not a place for humans. Humans, like the Na'vi and all the life on this planet is capable of surviving the atmosphere fine, but humans, like, immediately double over and start dying of hypoxia the second they start breathing the air on this planet. It's as if the planet itself is saying that it's not for humans. This is not a place for humans.
Guys, the impossible scale of life everywhere around you. And in that moment, there's only one thought in your head. This is humanity's future. After millions of years of evolution, after everything we've gone through as a species, we finally made it. Not by accident, but through intelligence, science, and survival. But then time passes, and you find out something changes everything. There is a traitor among you. Honestly, Jake Sully is basically just an average person. I understand why he did what he did. He had nothing left on Earth. Pandora gave him a second chance. Before this expedition, he was a disabled veteran. His life was going nowhere. Suddenly, he has new legs, a new body, new experiences, and for the first time in a long time, a new purpose. But even then, I still don't understand why he chose to betray his own species for a bunch of aliens. For humanity, Pandora is...
Notice how he says overpopulation and not climate change? Ooh, good point, because canonically it is climate change that's causing the problems in this setting, primarily. But yeah, overpopulation is, I guess, a factor to it as well, but regardless, humanity has a lot of room to be in.
Literally the greatest discovery in history. It's the first proof that alien life exists. The first habitable world we've...
Like, you can't even breathe the air on Earth, by the way. Like, the air on Earth isn't much better than the air on Pandora for people.
Ever found. A potential second home for our entire species. This isn't just another moon landing. This is bigger than Columbus discovering a new
continent, invasion,
Armstrong walking on the moon, and Gagarin reaching space, all combined. And if Jake had done what he was asked to do, he probably would have become one of the most important people in human history. Anyone involved in a mission like this automatically becomes a historical figure for centuries. And this is where James Cameron does something really clever. He manipulates us. The Na'vi were deliberately designed to be attractive and human-like. They have human emotions, human expressions, families, children. They laugh, cry, and fall in love just like we do. But if the Na'vi looked like giant insects or something completely alien and impossible for us to relate to, almost no one would be cheering for them.
Exactly. But that's not a point in your scoreboard. By the way, the movie Starship Troopers, not the book, the movie was made explicitly with the same argument in mind, that humanity is a fascist Nazi empire at this point. And the bugs did not really, like obviously there's the claim that the bugs started the war, but then the movie constantly suggests clues that logically the bugs would not have been able to do that, because not only are they on the other side of the galaxy, but how could the bombardier beetles, how could they fire their plasma into orbit, which they can do that, but then hit a meteor like a pool ball and then send it across the galaxy several times, many times the speed of light, to then impact Earth? In the book, it was absolutely the bugs who did it, but in the movie, it's kind of implied that it was a false flag. It's kind of a false flag. And then, of course, there's the fact that Paul Verhoeven is very open about the fact that this movie was very much meant to be a critique of the humans. You're not supposed to root for... Well, I mean, you could root for either side in Starship Troopers. That's the fact of it. Like they're both kind of... They're both just murderous monsters at the end of the day. The movie Starship Troopers primarily focuses on drawing a comparison between the two and making both sides seem equally as bad. Like the key thing at the end of Starship Troopers is when Rico puts on his helmet and he joins the squadron of troopers that are running out into battle. And, you know, all of them almost look like an army of bugs, like an army of pill bugs streaming out of the building, because you're just seeing them from the back with their like smooth gray armor. And it almost looks like, oh wow, they're an army of bugs as well. They're just like the bugs swarming into war. And that's the last shot of the movie. That's the last shot of the movie. But yeah, obviously making them more human-like makes people who just see monster, regardless of what happens, like this just doesn't really make a point in his like area. Like obviously people are more inclined to relate with something that seems more human. But the point of Starship Troopers was to make the exact same observation that you disagree with. And the fact that people don't see the bugs as sympathetic because they look monstrous is the point.
And impossible for us to relate to. Almost no one would be cheering for them. And honestly, I still don't understand how Jake could trade his own species for a small alien tribe that he'd only known for a few months. Yes, I get it. You arrive on a planet where, by some
he has literally nobody. by the way. Like, a big part of his character is that he doesn't care about anybody or have anybody in his life anymore.
Absurd cosmic coincidence. The natives happen to look and act incredibly human. They have emotions, families, relationships. They're easy to relate to. I understand why Jake became attached to them, but even then, I still can't wrap my head around it. How do you choose a group of aliens you've known for a few months over the entire species you were born into, over the civilization?
Like, what, can you make an actual argument for why he should be loyal to humanity, though?
That raised you, over the people you've spent your entire life around, over human.
What, okay, so you're telling, so all of a sudden, like, how is somebody who has, like, white nationalist vibes arguing that every human has some kind of camaraderie with every other human simply because we're human, right? Like, how, when I see a person walking down the street, I'm like, oh, gee, a person, wow. When I see a dog walking down the street, I'm like, yo, a dog! Yo, hey, buddy, hey, who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? Like, okay, so clearly, like, my connection with humanity, and I think most people's connection with humanity isn't that strong when we're more excited to see something that isn't human than another human in most situations. I don't know. It doesn't really seem like that strong of a point.
Humanity itself, that part has never made sense to me. A lot of people will say, well, he did it for a girl. Maybe. But even then, I still don't understand it. If he had returned to Earth, he would have been a hero. His life would have completely changed. He would have had fame, respect, probably wealth, and opportunities that most people could only dream of. Maybe he would have even found a family and built a new life for himself. Instead, he chose to abandon humanity. And this is where I need to talk about one of my favorite ideas in science fiction, the dark forest theory. Imagine that the entire universe is a dark forest. Every civilization...
Okay, let's see how he butchers this analogy in a scenario that it doesn't apply to.
I find it funny
because
how Soviet authors are basically the only ones who made sci-fi view of the future that isn't a dystopia.
Truth Nuke, thank you, Amway, for the $5. And also, this setting is a post-Dark Forest setting. This does not apply. Like, the Na'vi and humanity are very aware of each other already.
Civilization is a hunter, quietly moving through the trees.
As a matter of fact, they're extremely aware of each other from the onset of the movie. We don't even see first contact between humanity and the Na'vi in this franchise. Like, the first movie opens with, like, yeah, we're sending you down to Pandora. And, like, you're just, like, immediately thrown into it. It's kind of one of the things I like about the movie is a lesser director would have been like, oh, yeah, here's the story of how we meet the Na'vi. Like, they would have felt the need to over-explain and make a big deal out of, like, introducing the planet and the first contact between the people. But Avatar is the story of Jake Sully and his journey through this planet. So it starts with where his relevance to Pandora and the Na'vi begins. And at that point, humanity has already been familiar with the Na'vi and vice versa for a hot minute.
With a loaded weapon, nobody makes noise, because the moment you reveal your existence, you have no idea who's listening. Maybe the other civilization is peaceful, maybe they're friendly, or maybe they're just waiting for the first opportunity to wipe you out. And that's the problem. You can never know their true intentions. Even worse, any civilization could suddenly experience a technological explosion and become a massive threat in a relatively short amount of time.
Oh, okay, so the Na'vi could one day become an intergalactic threat, so they need to be wiped out. Okay. What if they develop weapons of mass destruction, guys?
And despite how big space is, truly valuable things aren't infinite. Habitable planets, resources, stable star systems, those things are limited. So from the perspective of the Dark Forest, the rational strategy is brutal. If you discover another intelligent civilization, you strike first before they can strike you. No negotiation.
That's this guy's position on the Dark Forest is humanity should shoot first always, if we encounter any other life in the universe. Mind you, he's making this argument even in a scenario where we know exactly what the Na'vi want, which is peaceful coexistence with humans, or the humans just not be there at all. And humans literally only want, like, as a greater government and force, humanity wants to destroy that planet for all it's worth.
No, let's be friends, just silence or a preemptive attack. Now let's apply that logic to Avatar. Humanity in 2154 isn't some evil empire twirling its mustache. Earth is dying, overpopulation, environmental collapse, resource shortages, human civilization is desperate. Then they find...
So, why is there mass mass pollution and resource shortages? What's the deal with that? And why is the solution to take resources from others to feed your dying empire? That just sounds like a fascist society. That's what a fascist society is. One that has to take from others in order to prop up its own dying population. That's fascism right there.
Pandora, a habitable world with one of the most valuable resources ever discovered, unobtainium. From the perspective of the Dark Forest, humanity's actions actually make perfect sense. They're trying to survive. They're trying to secure resources for their species. The Na'vi aren't necessarily evil, but from humanity's perspective, they're another unknown civilization standing between us and something we desperately need. And then Jake switches sides. From a Dark Forest perspective, that's insane. Imagine two hunters in the forest.
What's so funny about it too is that the reason why the Na'vi and humanity can't get along and work together is because humanity is not open to the idea of acquiring resources from Pandora in a non-industrial means. Like when they want to collect that makes you live forever and cures any disease ambrosia from the whales, they're like, okay, let's wipe out all of the whales on this reef and leave none alive. You know, like they're not even willing to like work with the Na'vi. Like they could theoretically find some real backwater part of the planet that no Na'vi even live on for hundreds of miles and probably be fine taking anything they need from that area. Is this AI? This video is probably like so full of AI slop. Yeah. A lot of these right-wing channels. Okay, for those that don't know, there's the reason why you see so much right-wing slop like this everywhere using AI is there's this trend of making faceless channels where people, as like a side hustle, just make slop like this and farm ad revenue off of it on the side. Legolas, thank you for the membership. I appreciate that. Or the gifted membership. Thank you. I hope Tim Pool's sentient beanie appreciates it. And of course, if you have a membership, you are able to watch the VODs for streams after they end. So hopefully you enjoy watching the VODs now, Tim Pool's sentient beanie.
One hears a noise in the bushes and raises his rifle. Then his partner suddenly shoots him in the back and joins whatever made the noise. Why? Because the noise sounded nice. Because it seemed peaceful. Because it looked kind of cute. That's basically what Jake did. And that's why...
Not even close to the same thing that Jake did. Once again, the Dark Forest analogy does not work in a scenario where first contact was made ages ago. Anyway. Videos and chud claims about humanity first has always been kind of just a white nationalist LARP, an excuse to use dog whistles and like push this narrative without really owning up to what they really want to make excuses for and support. I've never really had much respect for these types of people. Anyway, folks, if you liked watching this segment, then leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, and follow my social medias linked down below. It really helps a lot, and I hope to see you in the next one.